Hey everybody, Texas Stroke Area Lance's Performance Shop, Lone Star, Mopars.com. It is 2020, it is time for a new video, first one of the new year, and we're going to get started with a Harbor Freight tool haul. Now this is technically titled Harbor Freight tool haul number 1. By no means is it the first time I've been into Harbor Freight and bought stuff. It is, however, the first time I ventured in there and actually bothered to record and upload what we picked up. So typically when I go to Harbor Freight, it is for something specific, usually something that I don't think I'll use super often, but it'll be nice to have, and that was the case this time. I've been meaning to get in there for quite a while. Number one, I wanted to check and see if they actually had these Western safety gloves still in stock. I told the story many times in our glove reviews we've been doing. This is what I switched to when mechanics started to suck. I constantly had mechanic gloves that would wind up failing in the exact same places over and over. Tried those one time on a whim because they were cheap in there, and they worked great. I think one of the times I was in there, typically when I find something like a consumable that I like there, when there's a sale, I'll just pick up 6, 8, 10, whatever, kind of depending what the product is. That's what I did. That's my last pair there of Western Safety. They do in fact look to be gone. There was another brand there that looks similar. I can't think of what they called it. Could be the same thing under a different name. I'm not sure. But we've kind of moved on here. I'm still loving the Alpha. Still testing everything though. And there's actually still a box over there that I need to go through. Before we move in to what we brought in, this has bothered me for quite a while. I've been trying to clean here in the shop. And I have a shelf unit I got from my grandparents, and there's like a random drawer. Looks like it would have come out of like a, some small piece of furniture. This is one of the things that's in there, and you can tell from the box itself it's pretty old. It's not like ancient cardboard, but it's got like the gloss finish, but it's yellowed. This originally cost $20. It was marked down to $15. I don't know if that's when it was purchased. I don't know if this is something my grandmother was going to try and sell at a garage sale. I don't know if this... my grandmother was into all kinds of stuff, collectibles, you name it, like sporting stuff, baseball cards, starting lineup, die-cast, NASCAR. My granddad, all he really did was fish. That was kind of what he was into. And this, I, for the life of me, don't know what it is. And I kind of want to know, so I'll know what, if anything, I should do with it. This part in here that you can kind of see sort of looks like a bunch of staples stacked up. That's actually magnetic, and I think, okay, well, this is a magnetizer, demagnetizer. I've tried that, and while you can technically, run something that's not magnetized and then go and pick up a screw, it's not very strong. The other side doesn't, demagnetize it. That's my best guess. This could have been like something that somehow wound up at home from work. I don't know if it was like a piece to a copier or a printer or a sewing machine. If anyone knows, and I mean there's no brand on it, there's no dates in the plastic, I would have to guess this was probably in this box just based on what I've seen with old crud that I actually know what it is. Late 70s, early 80s? But, I don't know what it is. I mean, I don't know. It kind of resembles like one of those hide-a-key things. If it is, I've not cracked how one would use it. I don't know if it's like a magic trick. I have honestly no idea. She collected stamps and coins as well. I mean, it could tie in with so many things. I'm sort of clueless. For all I know, it could have been something my granddad had for like fillet knives. No clue. If you, for whatever reason, know what this is, or what it might be, please let me know. And now that we've gotten, I mean, right here when I sit it down, if I lift this up, I've got that big old Gador sticker kind of stacking. I mean, you can hear the magnetic part. I mean, it's adhering to my steel table. But I legitimately have no clue, and I would like to know. So if you can help solve the mystery, please do. Now, that said, when I was in Harbor Freight, I've been wanting to get in there for quite some time. Ironically, one of the other things I buy that was Western Safety, which I don't know if they still have, was dust masks, and they're not great dust masks. In fact, they're terrible. But for something simple, like when I'm in here sweeping the shop or cleaning, they are worthwhile. They're the cheapest you can about get. They're one of the cheapest ones that have the metal strip that folds over your nose. It doesn't like burn your nose or make it feel weird, like you're contracting cancer from whatever, scrap metal it is. If that makes any sense. If you've worn cheap dust masks, you'll know what I'm talking about. And that's really what I used it for. I'm one of those people, like, I could come in here and sweep the shop just like underneath a toolbox or something that hadn't been swept in a while. Nothing nasty, nothing crazy, you know, no mice droppings, nothing insane, just dirt and dust from where I live. And you know, your voice will kind of change, and then later that night after you shower, you know, I can shoot it back out through my nose. That's one of the things I wanted to pick up, and I absolutely forgot to, I guess because I was carrying so much, most likely, and in a hurry. But this is something I'd wanted to add. I wasn't quite sure what they had, didn't bother to scout ahead of time, just literally walked in, looked around, and this is what I came back with. If you couldn't guess what it is, you probably know now. That's right, it's just another screwdriver. This one is from Pittsburgh. Now, one of the things I love about Harbor Freight, regardless of what you buy, typically, if you find that SKU number or you've got the box or anything, you can find like a 5-digit number, and that is everything that you will need to know to pull this thing up. If you want to buy it again, if you want to find it online and see reviews, if you want to see if it's on sale, anything you want to do, that number right there, the SKU in this case, not always does it have the SKU in front of it. It'll just be like a random 5-digit number. That's typically everything you will need to know to research the product. So in this case, it is part number 94707. And this thing, are you ready? You know what it set me back? $1.79, that's right. So pretty affordable by anyone's standards, I would have to say. It is nice. It has a size marked there. It does indicate that it is Phillips here on the back side. As you should know, I am a fan of the black and the blue color scheme. The gray, not so much, but it does break it up a little bit. I think it works for what they were doing. You've sort of got your anti-roll. You've got your thumb rest here. It's a chrome vanadium shaft. It's got the black tip. I'm pretty sure that's paint because I've not used this. It's just been in the bin, and you can see right there where it's coming off, where it would have been in contact with other shafts. Yeah, that's to be expected. But is it good? Is it trash? I don't know. We'll find out. Now, it does have a hanging hole. We could possibly try to use that, you know, torque something down. I'm still not a fan of that method. We might very well break the back end of the handle. Handle itself, polypropylene. It does have the thermal plastic rubber over mold, so that's a nice selling point. I'm at the point where I brought in enough screwdrivers, I can say things and I think be taken seriously. I'm not one of those people that Harbor Freight ships stuff out to that would be biased or anything. This has nothing to do with the screwdriver. I've not used it. I don't know how it's going to perform, how it's going to last. I've actually never had Pittsburgh screwdrivers in the past either, so I can't comment on that. What I can say, out of the bin, the bottom basement dwelling bin where I had to pick this thing up from, the handle is actually not that bad. Now, keep in mind, I'm someone who honestly likes VHA's 3K. I love that handle. That was by no means the top of the line from VHA, and it's just something that I really like. It fits my hands super well. This is similar to that. It's not got like the ergonomics and everything kind of factored in, but I mean, for $1.79, I think you could do a lot worse. So how it performs, we will see. We'll shoot them probably head to head just with the Harbor Freight stuff, and then maybe we'll do like Home Depot, Lowe's, and then we'll take the best from Harbor Freight, assuming it's that guy. We'll throw it against the best from, you know, Home Depot and Lowe's and see what nonsense we come up with. So that's sort of what I'm shooting for at this point in time. Now, there were no Icon screwdrivers. That's right, there was no rebranded Pittsburgh screwdriver with a different handle that costs a lot more. So I did ask, the lady was actually, that this Harbor Freight I went into, it's not like a standalone store. It was like one in an old 80s like shopping center type of a thing, and it was nice inside. It was clean, it was laid out, it was well structured. The employees were super nice. Kind of different than the one I'm used to going into. And honestly, I'll probably go back to that one when possible. Now, again, $1.79 there. If you really want to splurge and get yourself two drivers, because you never know when you'll need it, you can get the number 2 Phillips and a flathead. This is from Quinn. Have I ever owned anything from Quinn? Absolutely not. Part number on this one, again, if you see the 5 digits anywhere on the packaging, Pittsburgh, Quinn, Chicago Electric, whatever, you know, Braun, I'm not sure what all brands they're floating around anymore. But 64547, that'll pull it up, tell you what you need to know. This one is a 2-piece set. As you can see, the tips are magnetic. It claims it's got a comfort grip. I can't feel it through the plastic. Backside here, repetitive chrome vanadium steel, just like that. Easy to read size markings and a square shaft, as they claim, for increased torque and leverage with a wrench. We'll have to figure out what size here in a little bit. But again, the particulars, number 2 by 4-inch Phillips, which is convenient because that's what we're doing with the shootout. That's the most common size in my opinion. And then a 1/4-inch slotted. Again, both of these though will feature the square shafts. So I think we can breeze through this stuff relatively quickly. This is again just the tool haul. We're not going to go into like super finite details, but oh, what have they done? It's hard to do this in the cold weather with a bad thumb. Thumb is doing better. Some of you have requested to see it. I don't know if this is the time or the place. But it is, I think it's slowly getting there. I'm still at that point where I don't quite know if I've got 2 nails growing back or 1. That's the only concerning thing. Now, right here, I want to point this out. There is something white, sort of right there on that tread pattern. And I don't know if that's packing material. I don't know if it's mold. I don't know. We'll handle with caution, I suppose, for now. So there they are. And the price on these, $349. So technically, and they did have, you know, the flats that match that in the Pittsburgh line. I think they were red in the bottom bins, again, individually. They would have been $1.79 as well, if I'm not mistaken. Technically, that set, if you were to pair those together, would be $360 versus $349 here. So if we just assume that these are priced exactly the same in this set, this driver is actually cheaper than the Pittsburgh. So here is this thing. There's some of that white crud everywhere, and I don't know what it is. I'm not exactly the most trusting of the Chinese, but hey. Black and blue, color scheme's okay. We've got Quinn on this side. We've got the size there. Kind of wish, although I do like it in black, white would have been better for visibility. Hanging hole, possibly. Looks like you could shove the shaft of one through the other. Possibly rip the handle apart. Still, again, not a fan of that. I thought when they said the size markings were indicated, they would mean on the tip. That is not the case. Again, these are kind of dirty. And you saw me, I just literally took them out of the package. But doesn't feel terrible. The handle itself, yeah. No, it's a no for me. I actually do, if I had to pick out of these 2 drivers which handle I like better, it would be the Pittsburgh by a significant margin. The blue I also like better. It's kind of more of the Mopar blue, a royal bright blue. This is sort of just like, it's the cheapest derivative of black, most likely. This is the one we're the most interested in, though, and it is, there we go, PH 2x4. That's the one we want. Again, it also has some nasty junk on it. It even feels like it's got some sort of powdery substance on the square shaft there. Let's flip it aside. You can see that it's Phillips. Again, if this is all you had and you stored these in a tool bag or a bucket or a holder, you would at least know, hey, that's my slotted, this is my Phillips. But again, I don't know that they offer these in a full set, but if they did, it would have been nice if we had, 1, 2, 3, 4 for Phillips, so on and so forth for slotted. They claim they're magnetized. I've got that drill bit just sitting there. It's not really able to pick it up. So let's just come in and try. Well, can't get the hex key. Okay, I can handle this one. Nope. Okay, let's be fair to it and just, this is the screw. I really love this screw for testing stuff, but it does at least hold that in place, probably by way of magnetism. I'm not gonna lie there. Let's test the Pittsburgh out though, which the tip doesn't look terrible on this. I haven't put it under a microscope or anything, but it will at least hold it a little. The magnetic tip would have kept that from dropping, but that is that. So this is what I've got so far. If you know of other screwdrivers at Harbor Freight, I'm not really in the mood to buy sets of them, but if I can get them individual or possibly in pairs, because that's the only way to pick up some of this, I'm already thinking ahead to Home Depot and Lowe's type of stuff. If there is a driver there that you think is great, if it's Pittsburgh, professional, whatever, let me know. If you've used it, if you actually do like it, if you think it's comparable, or should at least be considered in the shootout, I will try to pick it up on my next venture into the store, and we'll see where it takes us. So that was just kind of throwing stuff because I was finally there. The lady did not know when Icon drivers would be coming out, if they're available individually or, a pair, kind of like this Quinn set. I'll try to pick them up, but I'm not going to drop, $60 for like a 5-piece set of Icon screwdrivers. I've got too many that I know will be, or should be. I would be shocked if they weren't better quality, particularly in the long run. But I do have an interest in seeing what's available from Harbor Freight, from Lowe's, from Home Depot, from Northern Tool, from all the places. Not just, you know, expensive, fancy, high-quality stuff, American, German, Czech Republic, whatever. I'm game for anything, you know. So that's the way we're going to continue to approach it. Now, something I was excited about when I was down there trying to dig through and find the best looking one, because yes, there were some that looked worse than that by a considerable margin, which is a shame. It's almost would be nice if they would just rack them. I mean, they've got the hanging hole, you know, maybe we could just have a couple of pegs for them as opposed to throwing them in a bin, but that's just me. So this is some stuff I was excited about, because if you're like me, this is my preferred method of cleaning everything in the shop. It's just like the Scott blue shop towels, right? I typically buy those. That's one of those things, like when I run low, I don't go in and buy like a 2-pack. I buy the big pack, or if all they have is a 2-pack, I'll get like 3 or 4 of the 2-packs. Particularly if I can kind of catch them on a sale or promotion type of a deal. And then I've got a ton of them, and what I typically do, I've got some here at the workbench, I've got some stationed, you know, in predetermined places in the shop, and then I always typically, if I'm under the hood of the duster, I've got a roll with me. If I'm under the hood of the truck, I've got a roll there. If I'm cleaning something, there's a roll right beside me. The creeper seat, I typically have them underneath there. So at any one time, I've got 2 to 3 open and available rolls, one typically right beside me, unless what I'm doing isn't necessarily a dirty job. So where am I going with all this? I'm going right here, and that's magnetic, so that's good to know. But this is from US General. Now, spoiler alert, when I was looking at those, right behind me were the US General service carts, which were actually way better quality than I thought they would be. I don't really have the space for one, and I got a really, really cheap performance tool one, which it was cheaper. I mean, it was about, I think I got it on sale actually, so it might have been 60 to 80 bucks, and the US Generals, I think on sale, maybe if you get really lucky, would be 150, probably more than that. If I had seen those prior, I might have just gone that route, because again, performance tool, you're stuck with black, it's kind of cheap, flimsy. Those I kind of expected to be like that. They were better than I expected, so pleasant surprise there. But this is something you can outfit. It's intended for use with your US General service cart or US General toolbox. That's kind of what they pushed before this Icon stuff came about. US General makes a really nice toolbox. It's just the people that would want them then tend to think that they're overpriced. I'm kind of in that same mindset again. This kind of goes back to when I was in Harbor Freight more frequently. Well, they would be really good, and it was nice to have the color selection available as opposed to like Craftsman red, or, you know, wait a couple of months and see if they'll get the color you want type of a thing. It did have better drawer slides, all the stuff you'd want, but then it's like, man, that's priced a little too high for Harbor Freight. That was my sentiment. That was the sentiment of a ton of people I talked to. But this stuff, not an issue there, because this item 56,450. No, that's not it. 56,454 right there. 56,454 is a magnetic paper towel holder. Now, there's nothing magnetic, you know, for the tube. You don't have to like run a piece of steel down it. That's implying how it's going to adhere to your service cart, your toolbox, your shop wall, your metal pegboard, anything that it would be ferrous. Really not much here to see. It's heavy gauge powder coated steel, so this is not painted, it is powder coated. That should hopefully result in a better life. Now if we open this up and it's like not wrapped and it's exposed and it's chipping the coating off, that's a problem. It's not going to be good, but we'll figure that out. Each powerful magnet holds up to 2 pounds. There are non-marring covers preventing surface scratches. So basically it's a rubber coated magnet. I think it's how we could put that in layman's terms. Now if you're worried like, oh man, you know, I run small paper towels, or I've got small and giant rolls that I pick up, don't worry, this is one of those deals that's going to be spaced. So if you have a tiny, if you want this for toilet paper, have at it. If you want it for some like industrial size, most packing papers are going to be way too heavy or have way too much on the roll, but I mean theoretically you could space it out to like 36 inches, 24, whatever size you rock. But without further ado, let's just open this thing and see what we've got. Wanted to get this done the other night, I could not. Now these are wrapped, which is good, but it would have been nice if this had a bubble wrap. Price was $11.99, and for $11.99, you kind of would think that they might do that for you. But again, at least it was covered some. This actually looks better than I thought it would be. And there's 3 magnets on this side. It's got US General stamped in it. That might be a turnoff for some of you, but keep in mind when you've got a roll of paper towels there, it's going to block that. Now, this doesn't swivel. It's nothing fancy. It's not fixated. It's literally just threaded onto a bolt. A very cheap bolt at that. But this is something you're not going to put much load on. Maybe you pull down hard on the paper towels from time to time. Should be okay, and you could easily replace that with another knob. So there we are on that side, and I mean, that's a very strong magnet. That's going through the rubber mat. Coming in here, you can kind of see what's inside the box. And, same thing on the other side. Simple packaging, nothing crazy. Don't have to spend a ton of time cutting or removing tape, which I guess is the perk to that. This one, same thing, US General. Now, if you want to run this side to side like I plan to do, that's your configuration. If you want them vertical, some people prefer that. You can go to town that way. Again, if this was like a tiny, tiny roll, this is about as small as we could go. And you know what? That won't do toilet paper. I do apologize. You could modify it and make it work. But the distance here end to end, in its shortest configuration, about a 9-inch roll. This, again, I think most of you will be familiar with. I've never actually taken the time to measure them. But 11 inches. And again, as long as what you have is lightweight, I think this would support more than 2 pounds. You know, they're probably saying that for safety's sake. I figured it would be a weak magnet. This is actually not too bad. Keep in mind though, don't like the packing paper I run at work, it would be way too heavy. But test it out. I mean, you know, set someone up to catch something if it falls and see what you can do. Technically, the limits they give, 2 pounds, but I think you could hold quite a bit more than that. But that's what that was, $11.99. I think that's a keeper. I will showcase this stuff towards the end of the video, set up somewhere. We'll test it in a couple different configurations. If any one of you followed the wrong part number or earlier, 56450, it was also $11.99, so same price, but it is right here. It is the US General magnetic spray can and screwdriver holder. This will hold 2 cans. Now, some of you can probably, for me, it'll probably be WD-40, PB Blaster, brake cleaner, something like that, maybe spray paint, depending on what I'm doing and where it is. I could probably hold other cans too, perhaps if you're thirsty or need a drink nearby. 5 slots for screwdrivers is all. We'll have to see if we think they could have maximized that a little bit more efficiently. Holds 5 screwdrivers, 2 cans. Magnetic device is perfect for keeping all your frequently used items in one place for easy access. Keep in mind, I think they intend them for the service cart. This is sort of more like a toolbox background, if you can make it out. Attaches easily to a toolbox or any ferrous metal surfaces. 6 rubber-coated magnets won't scratch surfaces. Bottles, spray cans, paints, lubricants, and more. 5.5 pound weight capacity. That's a big one. Right there, nothing too crazy. And we are ready to open her up. So, there were a couple of other items. I didn't want to pick up the whole set. I wanted to get these and see if they sucked or not. And I figured when I go back I can add whatever else I wanted. I do want to point out these are obviously intended to tie in perfectly with their service carts and toolboxes from US General. However, if you're like me, you can throw them on Craftsman, you can put them on the walls of your shop, whatever you're going to do. But they are available black, blue like you see here, orange, red, I want to say green, and yellow. So you do have some color variations. As best I know, everything is going to be the same price. So you don't have to pay the color tax or anything crazy like that. But look at that. Pretty impressive. 6 magnets there on the back side. We're going to go ahead and open this sucker up. Alright, so did they forget to cut out the frickin' spray cans, you're thinking? No, fear not, it's just upside down. So you can kind of see there where it looks like we did some metal work. Those are actually our 6 magnets. Now how strong they are, how well they adhere over time, we'll have to pay attention to. The good news is I don't really think we're going to be able to overload that 5.5 pound weight capacity. So we've got that going for us. They look really nice, and conveniently, for me, I don't see any blemishes in powder coating. People have this misconception with powder coating that when you have it done, it's just an impervious finish and you're set for life. If you got this and there was just a little scratch right there, it would be even worse if it was here. You know, like up here you're not going to touch, here you may not touch much, the bottom side you'll never touch, but like if there's a little chip here, or maybe by one of the slots you're going to use for a screwdriver, what happens over time is as that continues to chip, it'll just progressively work its way. It's kind of just like paint. But as long as it is sealed and covered, it is the better finish. Now, what I will do, I was going to start dropping stuff in here. I'm going to actually go stick this maybe to literally the wall of the shop. Well, there's conduit. Maybe we can work around it. Side of a toolbox. We'll see what we think of this stuff. And then I've got my big ticket item that there's no way I can fit up here on the table. So we're going to have to take a look at that. And again, it is why I went in the store. So that said, $11.99, $11.99. Basically $5 or less worth of screwdrivers there. That's what we got so far. We'll see these in action and I'll show you the big ticket item. So I will catch you in just a few seconds. Alright, well, this place is a mess right now. If you're wondering why we're filming at an awkward angle, there's a 727 in my way. But right there, I'm just on the back side of the toolbox here. I've tried it out on the Craftsman. I've tried it out on smooth steel. This box kind of has like a thicker texture. Everything works fine. It's very hard for me to kind of get up to this. But as you can see, we can pull it down. Cats can play with it, whatever you need to happen. The real money shot though is over here. Again, I don't have that kind of squared up either. But, it is adjustable. You can do with it what you will. Vertical, horizontal, whatever your method, you're golden. Now, this, I gotta say, it's nice, but it's a little disappointing. Number one, we upgraded the screwdriver game on it. I'll tell you that right now. But, got some WD-40, some brake clean back there. Here's the issue, alright, if I turn this out of the way. Now, the WD-40, when I put it in, wanted to just be drawn to the magnet. The brake clean, it didn't do that. I've got that Quinn sitting there, and that's because the square shafted drivers they gave us, okay, it fits that hole just fine. If I move the PB Swiss guy, what they did is they've got the holes staggered, and as you can see, the driver will clearly not fit. And you think, well, you know, that's no big deal, you know, just keep your bigger stuff over there, slotted, big Phillips, whatever it might be. So the square shaft is fine in that slot. This one you're thinking, oh, you just got a number 2 VI 3K there. No, this is the number 3 Phillips. It's also the big 6-inch one, right? And, this is the second hole, all right? This is the second largest hole on this entire thing. And we can't fit the Quinn that we just bought, which is pretty sad, really. Typically, you would have 2 slots, right? And again, this is a number 3 Phillips with the 3K handle. It drops in just fine. Now, everything else here, the Pittsburgh, the Stavilla 3K, the PB Swiss Rainbow Grip, all that stuff plugs and plays beautifully. It will all fit flush there just fine. But it is kind of sad, you know, if you've got the square shaft drivers, maybe even some Kleins. I could literally probably spend a good 20 minutes test fitting drivers here for you. I don't know if this is the time or the place for that, but it is something that I at least wanted to point out to you. Now, if you've got this populated with the drivers, you'll be able to get this can out, but you can kind of, classic. You can kind of see what I'm dealing with here. As I bring that down, it just gets pulled to the magnet at the very back, and then when I fight it, I am going to hit the driver. We're going to crash down. If you didn't have this side populated, you just don't use it for drivers at all, it would be no issue up here, but it will get drawn in. Now, the brake clean, for whatever reason, it does get pulled a little bit, but not near as much. And I just kind of thought that was interesting. But this will work fine. This, if you were curious, that's what it would look like on kind of like a flat black toolbox. Now, it looks way worse on the Craftsman, which is red. I do have a gray Craftsman, and I've got like this really awesome like 70s or 80s copy cart, you know, and that thing's nice. I'm telling you, it's held up beautifully. It's got like the chains when you fold the drawer down. Anyway, it looks really good there too. I might, just for the sake of doing it, throw the paper towel holder vertically on the back of the Craftsman, because it's the traditional homeowner red that I think a lot of you will probably have and relate to. But again, if you hate this, black's available. If you love this, the contrast, whatever, do with it what you will. There are other colors available. That's the main thing. In my opinion, though, this would be fine if you didn't have like a square shaft or a crazy driver. The other thing, pretty much anything with a hex bolster, we're not going to be able to have sit flush probably until this last slot. You know, but it is what it is. It's not a bad deal for 12 bucks, but be aware it's probably not going to be like the perfect thing. With that said, Pearl Jam's firing up, so I got to go take a phone call. All right, so one phone call later, here we are. This is the back of the Craftsman. This is nothing special. This is just 26-inch upright. It's what most people are going to have in some configuration or had at one point in time. But just to kind of show it to you vertically, that is what you would be looking at. And it's nothing crazy, nothing fancy, but it does work. Obviously, in this case, red would look way better. But it is available in different colors for the same price. That's the big perk there. But I am absolutely freezing. I think I'm going to have to cut my night short and probably have to showcase the big item tomorrow. But hey, you won't have to wait because it'll be coming right now. Well, it's definitely the next day. I can't really recall how well I got to finish up with the can holder, screwdriver holder, paper towel holder. They all fit, they work good. I've checked for damage. The magnets are rubber coated, doesn't seem to do anything, even to the thin coat of paint on the Craftsman box. But this is the reason that I went to Harbor Freight. This is what I needed that I don't know where else to get. That's kind of one of those things that it really shouldn't ever fail. And if it does, you know, you could possibly get it done in a warranty time. If not, you can probably replace it with another one for less. If this was something I was using all the time, we'd probably go a little higher, but just had to put it together. All that was required was the 4 casters going on. 19mm was what we needed. But I gotta say, when you do get involved in the stuff, that's when the Take It Easy tool finder, which again, these were the impacts, I just went ahead and used those, comes in really handy, because once you figure that out, if you know that you need the blue one, I mean, you can relay that to the youngest of your children, and you got somebody that can fetch your tools for you. But this thing is typically about $99. We're going to go with item number 39178. I realize now I left my notes on the table, but we'll just go with what's on the label. So this is from Pittsburgh. It's their low lift transmission jack. Now, if you're needing to get this under a car, you know, a lowered vehicle, for example, this is probably a good ticket. For me, it was the lift range. This is actually higher than a lot of motorcycle jacks that I was looking at, and it's way higher than a lot of the transmission jacks I looked at in terms of the max lift height, and subsequently it turned out to be a pretty good deal for me. Now, it's got a saddle, which you can see right there, the white part. You can tilt that to kind of cradle your transmission. Honestly, in terms of like what I'm into, old cars and stuff, gas tanks, exhaust, catalytic converters, God forbid you ever have to deal with them, but you know, if you had a couple of these and your car was on jack stands, maybe you don't have a lift, you had a bottle jack in this, I mean, you can support exhaust systems that get heavy. I'll just say that. So all kinds of uses for this thing. I talked to a guy that said he uses it to hang bumpers by himself. He's gotten older, and he says this is like a lifesaver. So I mean, it's not limited to transmissions by any means, but saddle wheel tilt, they say it's a 13 by about 7-inch opening. So that's where you would set down your pan, the neck, whatever you're dealing with. Smooth rolling swivel casters, we'll see. I've got a staple on the floor. It might stop it in its tracks. 43-inch nylon strap included. Again, that's kind of just for your safety. If the load was uneven, it doesn't, you know, hopefully fall off onto you. Safely remove and replace transmissions while the vehicle's on stands. This has a capacity of 450 pounds. The minimum height, which is kind of where it's at right now, 7 1/4, which that's actually pretty good. The saddle tilt is 5 degrees. The thing that was the big selling point to me, if we come in right there, come on, right there, maximum height 23 1/4. That is huge. Because if I pan out over here, you will see my tripod, and as I zoom in, do you see the puddle down there maybe? Well, that's the El Trucco, and it sits up pretty high, right? Factory 4x4 off-road, 2nd gen Ram, and the issue is when I pull the motor, which I'm going to have to do, I really wish I would have already had it done. This holiday break didn't necessarily go as I thought it would, but as soon as I pull that, I'm going to need to support the transmission because I'm planning to leave it in place. I know some people that just use like straps to do that. I'm kind of wanting to use this instead is how I'll put that nicely. So this will actually get up high enough. I think I needed about 14 inches or so. Truck is clean, by the way, but I think I needed about 18 inches, 17, I can't remember now. It was like 16 something, 17 and a half, somewhere in that range. And most of the lift stopped just shy of where my pan would have been. And I measured, and by the way, I've got a deep pan on the transmission as well. Stock, it would have been even worse. But this thing with 23¼ inch, that is very high lift. So again, putting it together is a breeze. You've got 4 casters. Now the catch is, and I'm sure a lot of people will use, just an impact on this, which is the best way to do it probably, but for precision, I wouldn't consider that to be impact territory. You can take a breaker bar or a 1/2 inch ratchet, and basically, if I back this off far enough for you, we can just start lifting. Again, this is nothing crazy, it's nothing technologically advanced. This is just the Vera Cyclops, so it's a low tooth count. This might be an interesting way to test ratchets. How many turns side to side or concrete to concrete, right? Does it take to lift this thing all the way? But you get the idea how that works. To lower it, we do the same thing. It's just an old school scissor lift, right? Looks like something that would have been around for a long time. Nothing crazy, just simple mechanics, right? Physics. And as long as you don't exceed the weight capacity, I think you'll be okay. Again, for what I intend to do with this, just holding the transmission, kind of keeping it, taking a load off of it, if you will. I think this will be just fine. So I'm pretty happy with it. Again, $99 is what it should run you, but the coupon I had at the time, I didn't think it would work on jacks. The fine print said it wouldn't. I asked the guy if it would, and he scanned it, and I looked at the receipt, and it took like 20 bucks off, I think. So $79.99. That makes this a really good deal. And again, not necessarily my color scheme or anything along those lines, but it will work for what I need it to do right now. And it's one of those things, I'm not going to use it all the time, but it will certainly come in quite handy. So this was, again, what got me into Harbor Freight, which is what allowed me to pick up the screwdrivers, all that other stuff. But might go back, I don't know. I wouldn't mind having a really, really big breaker bar. I was kind of wanting one anyway. And what I'm thinking is, where this is just limited, side to side, I could actually come in and treat that more like a jack handle with like a swivel head on a breaker bar. So we'll see. I'll probably pull it up online tonight and see how long of a breaker bar I could get. And that would work great because, again, I wouldn't be relying on that breaker bar to actually break something that would require like a 40-inch handle. But having a ridiculously long handle for something like this, beautiful. So there is the strap. There's really not much else to say about this. But again, regardless of what you're doing, this is not just limited to a transmission, and in fact, we could take this plate off and you can kind of design whatever you want to. So I'll see what all uses I can come up with. There's been a lot of things over the years that would have been nice to have it for, but the plan initially for the truck was to use the motorcycle lift. I thought it would be a great idea just to support the transmission. And with the lift of the truck, despite having the deep pan, there was just nothing I could find in a reasonable price range that had the lift height that I needed. So Harbor Freight comes through for me. We just have to hope that this thing works when I need it to. But that's that, man. This was our tool haul from Harbor Freight. If you've used one of these things, let me know how you like it. Has it failed on you, given you any issues? Is it just a fantastic addition to the shop? What are some weird uses, some off-the-wall stuff you wouldn't necessarily think of that you found this handy for? Also, if you do a lot of stuff, like if you're swapping rear ends out all the time, again, when people have lifts, like 2-post, 4-post lifts, they forget all this stuff. They don't care about it. But if you're like me and you're down on the ground, whether you're outside, whether you're in a shop, a carport, behind a house, if you've got a flat surface but you don't have a lift, you're on your back when you do this stuff, and that's where these are invaluable, particularly if you go solo like I do most of the time. So pretty excited for it. Again, it'll have an easy job here to start off with. Then I'll probably put it through heck and all kinds of abuse later on in its life. But for now, it looks good. No complaints on my end. Would change the colors if I could, but hey, can't complain for 79 bucks. I will see how it goes. You should be seeing it in future videos, so stay tuned for that. As always, thanks so much for watching. I am freezing. It's like 7:30. Friday night. I got to get up, be somewhere in the morning. Had to work today as well, but hey, got some cool stuff coming. We'll probably have this truck project on the channel. I've got some other stuff. Again, I might get a chance to run into that nice Harbor Freight again. And if I do, maybe we'll come out with some more stuff. So, with that said, thanks for watching Lone Star Mopars on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Subscribe if you have not. New videos every Saturday, possibly some Wednesdays. And with that said, I will catch you back here for more action from the shop. By the way, before I go, the more I use the Joker, the more I really like that wrench. And I've got a couple others I'm kind of trying out. It's really cool to be able to cycle through tools. You know, like you don't have to use the same one every time. I can be like, well, let's try this one. And it's just kind of a fun thing to do, and kind of that way give things a fair shake, see what you really do prefer, what performs best for you. So zero issues with the Joker so far. But well, that's it. I'll quit rambling. Thanks for watching. I'll catch y'all back here in the next one.